Great astrophysicist Stephen Hawking believed with more than 100 billion stars in our galaxy, the odds are pretty good that aliens exist. And he's not alone. Every day, people across Canada report seeing a UFO. Dirks reports some things just can't be explained.
I got it.
Oh my gosh.
Oh.
What the hell?
That strange light in the sky is one of 1,100 UFO sightings in Canada last year. According to the annual survey released by Ufology Research of Manitoba, there are at least 3 such sightings in the country every day.
UFO reports are still a thing. People are reporting them in greater and greater numbers every year.
Montreal is Canada's UFO capital, with 74 sightings reported last year, followed by Toronto, then Vancouver. It's not that these cities are on an extraterrestrial highway. It's a matter of population, says the report's author.
If a tree's falling in the forest, you need somebody to hear it. So if there's a UFO in the sky, the more people around to see it, the more reports you get.
None of the sightings match the drama of the X-Files.
The truth is out there.
But something was out there, according to 10 campers in Quebec who reported a triangular object that hovered and then flew off. One of them drew the scene. In Oshawa, a wildlife photographer captured an odd-shaped disc in the sky. This scientist says people should be critical, but still open-minded.
There's a few that really just get me scratching my head saying, what could it have been?
The survey says of the 1,100 sightings, only 8% are unexplained, and that can be whittled down to 1% of so-called high-quality unknowns.
In fact, none of these cases, shout that aliens are here, but what they do say is that people are reporting things, and maybe science should take a closer look.
We just had a big earthquake at 4 o'clock.
Now that is video from Fresno of the shaking felt there. Fresno is across the Sierra Nevada from the epicenter.
Though the coronavirus pandemic was relatively slow to hit many developing countries, the World Food Program warns the outbreak could cause widespread famines of biblical proportions.
Now to Kenya, where a second wave of desert locusts has descended on East Africa. Estimates indicate that it will be 20 times worse than the swarms that made their way through the region 2 months ago. The UN says the locusts present an unprecedented threat to food security and livelihoods.
But now the World Food Program analysis shows also, due to the coronavirus, that an additional 130 million people could be pushed to the brink of starvation by the end of 2020. That's a total of 265 million people.
The locusts, billions of them, have devoured hundreds of hectares of crops across the region, hitting countries with already delicate food situations. Ethiopia, Somalia, Kenya, Tanzania and Uganda have so far been affected by the swarms.
Well, the second wave is mainly locusts which have bred now, which are breeding now in Ethiopia and Kenya, which are not their usual breeding grounds. And this is because, especially over the past few months, there have been heavy rains here outside the normal rainy season, and that has basically created the perfect breeding ground for locusts.
But experts say this won't be enough. The insects are breeding so fast, their numbers could multiply by 500 in just a few months. The UN is calling on the international community to help, saying it needs more than $70 million to fund what it calls a rapid response to stop the bugs.
This is the first supercyclone forming over the Bay of Bengal in more than 20 years.
And destroying homes by the hundreds. Pounding India's eastern coastline, the strongest cyclone in over a decade. Winds reached 100 miles per hour, knocking down trees and damaging metal roofs.
It was the strongest tropical storm on record as it tracked north through the Bay of Bengal with wind speeds of 270 miles an hour. But they were barely half that by the time the vortex made landfall close to the border of Bangladesh and India. Scientists believe the record sea temperatures that fueled the storm may have been caused in part by more sunlight filtering through pollution-free skies during the pandemic lockdown.
Howling winds and driving rain, Cyclone Amphan unleashed its formidable force as it made landfall.
In neighboring Bangladesh, riverbanks overflowed.
And neighboring Bangladesh are bearing the brunt of the cyclone. With wind gusts of up to 190 kilometers per hour, the storm is the strongest to hit the area in over a decade.
Climate change is fueling superstorms. The sea temperature in the Bay of Bengal reached 34 degrees in the first 2 weeks of May. The energy from such warm water whips up the wind speed. Strong storms are increasing by 8% a decade. Rising temperatures also increase rainfall from storms. Research suggests it will surge by 20% in the coming decades. The new normal of climate change will make poorer countries even more vulnerable to other emergencies such as pandemics.
This is a clear view of what happens when two crises come together.
Forests cover about 30% of the planet, and the ecosystems they create play an essential role in supporting life on Earth. But deforestation is clearing Earth's forests on a massive scale, and at the current rate of destruction, the world's rainforests could completely disappear within 100 years. Why should we care about deforestation? Together, forestry and agriculture are responsible for 24% of greenhouse gas emissions, making deforestation a significant contributor to climate change. Deforestation impacts the amount of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere in two ways. First, when trees are felled, they release the carbon they are storing into the atmosphere. Second, trees play a critical role in absorbing the greenhouse gases that fuel global warming. Fewer forests mean larger amounts of greenhouse gases entering the atmosphere, and increased speed and severity of global warming. In addition to helping regulate the Earth's climate, forests provide habitats for over 80% of the plants and animals that live on land. But deforestation destroys these habitats, diminishing biodiversity. Some estimate that 4,000 to 6,000 rainforest species go extinct each year. This also affects the more than 2 billion people who rely on forests as sources of food and shelter. The biggest driver of deforestation is agriculture. Farmers chop down trees in order to plant crops like soybeans, palm trees, and cocoa, or to make room to raise livestock for beef. Logging operations, which provide the world's wood and paper products, also cut countless trees each year. Forests are also destroyed as a result of growing urban sprawl as land is developed for dwellings. The effects of deforestation are grave, but not irreversible. Efforts such as managing forest resources, eliminating clear-cutting, and planting new trees to replace those removed are already being made to reduce deforestation's environmental impact on our planet. And while some plant and animal species are gone forever, combating deforestation can help prevent further loss of biodiversity.
Egypt has never seen such a storm in over 2 decades. The last time a similar storm has hit was in 1994. Adel Mahroui, CGTN.
Egypt's sunshine vanished.
and Cairo's heavy traffic disappeared, and the government has advised citizens to remain at home as the toughest storm in decades hit. Sandstorms from the south are colliding with thunderstorms from the north. These extreme weather conditions will continue until Saturday.
Was back in 1981.
Estamos en Terán con una pinche granizada. Estas madres son fácil unas pelotas de tenis. Está de la chingada. Aquí nos resguardamos arriba un techo.
These were tweeted out by the Nevada Highway Patrol with some deep cracks there.
Yeah, kind of like ridge crest.
Oh, yes. Well, overnight, the 6.5 magnitude earthquake struck just west of Tonopah. A researcher says it was the largest quake in the state in 65 years. Thankfully, no one was hurt.
A 6.5 magnitude earthquake sent waves through Tonopah.
I mean, it shook my house, it shook the walls.
This morning, Highway 95, the main road between Las Vegas and Reno, Nevada, is closed.
Wow.
You can see why. While authorities assess the damage from the earthquake to this major highway.
The local sheriff's office gave us this footage. 20 miles of 95 are shut down right now, and that is the main route between Reno and Vegas. The main quake was followed by several powerful aftershocks, including a 5.1 less than a half an hour after the main event.
The quake was only 1.5 miles deep into the Earth's surface. One resident said he'd never felt anything like it.
Actually, I was laying in bed, wide awake, and I felt it. It seemed to last about 20 seconds. It was pretty violent.
So many reports. We felt it in the newsroom. 4:03, the lights started shaking here in our newsroom, and we knew right away. It's just like, let's get on the USGS website.
I was just in my room in bed, getting ready to go to sleep, and the room started shaking, and my windows have kind of like stick blinds on it. They started clicking against the windows.